Hey everyone, welcome to Tales in Text. I'm your host Nisha and welcome to another episode of Books and Tarot. In today's book review episode, I'm going to be reviewing the book The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. Now, I do want to give a trigger warning. This book does deal with the Holocaust and all of its horrors. The Holocaust was one of the most brutal and horrific periods in human history. Millions of people were thrown out of their homes, their families were destroyed, their culture was decimated. They were persecuted for following a faith, following a belief system that was different from a psychotic man whose xenophobia destroyed half the world. And The Nightingale is based on this horrific era. The Nightingale follows the narrative of two sisters, Vianne Moyac and Isabelle Rossignol, during the time of the Holocaust. Now, at this point, when the book starts, we see that Germany has already started persecuting Jews living within Germany, and now they're moving outside of Germany's confines to other European states in order to persecute Jews living abroad. And that's where the story begins. Now, the term Rossignol means or translates into the nightingale. And this book, at its core, is about how these two sisters use their unique strengths, their unique intelligence, their unique creativity to help persecuted individuals, to help people who were being victimized and brutalized by the Nazi army. Right off the bat, we see that both Vianne and Isabelle, who are sisters, Vianne is the older one and Isabelle is the younger sister. There's a huge age gap between the two of them. And we see right off the bat that both of them have very distinct personalities. And this book is really beautiful because it brings out these distinct personalities so powerfully and in such a nuanced manner that you can actually relate to the people in the book. You can relate to Isabelle's ire at seeing these Germans come over, take control of her beloved motherland, booting out people who are her friends, her neighbors, her lovers, and people whom she's grown up caring about. And she can't fathom why she needs to just stay quiet and keep to herself when the people that she loves and the country that she loves is being brutalized by these foreign invaders. And she wants to do something. She's young, she's hot-blooded, she's nationalistic, and she wants to do something. I'm sure many people who are watching this video can actually resonate with Isabelle. Then we have Vianne, who is much more sober. She's of course much older, she has a child of her own, and her fears are completely different. Although she loves her country, although she loves her nation's people, and although her best friend is Jewish and she loves her and she would give up her life to protect her best friend, she also is plagued by the fears of being a mother, being a single mother in wartime France, where Nazis are walking up and down the streets, Nazis are living in her home, and at any point in time anyone can decide to just jail her or shoot her or just kidnap her daughter and do anything. Now, these were very real threats. And so Vianne's response to the Nazis invading France is completely different from Isabelle. Over the course of the book, we see how both of these characters, Isabelle and Vianne, evolve and mature in the way they look at the Nazis, and they understand their own personal roles in the Holocaust. They understand how best they can serve the cause of people who are victimized and brutalized. And this includes everyone from Jewish families to RAF members. We see how ultimately, because of a course of one, of a book filled with one tragedy after another, we see how both of them come out and become a more mature and a more thoughtful and mindful and empathetic individuals than they started out being. Kristin Hannah has stayed very true to the processes, you could say, that people would use to help the Jewish population, or help grounded RAF airmen, or anyone who they considered was on the side of France, to escape from the Nazis and to protect children, to protect families, to help people. She's stuck very true to historical facts, and I think that makes this book all the more powerful, because when it comes to talking about real historical events from a fictional perspective, it's very important for authors to get their facts right. And I think Kristin Hannah has done a good job in terms of keeping true to the actual narrative of what happened really during the Holocaust era. As with any Kristin Hannah book, she has a way of bringing her characters to life to make the reader feel so sympathetic towards characters, even the ones who aren't so likable. For example, there is one Nazi officer who comes in the first half of the book who you really sympathize with, and that's saying something, because this is a book about German soldiers murdering innocent Jews, sending their families to work camps, separating children from their parents. And to say that you can actually feel sorry for a Nazi, it takes a very experienced writer to bring out those nuances, to know the difference being sympathizing with the Nazi cause and sympathizing with someone who inadvertently, unfortunately, has become aligned to this cause because of the nature of their job. Overall, it was quite an engaging read. I listened to it on Audible, like I said, and the narrator Polly Stone has done a very good job. She does have pretty good vocal range. I wouldn't say she's the best narrator I've heard so far, but she does the job pretty well. So yeah, overall, I would give Kristin Hannah's The Nightingale a big thumbs up. Now coming to the tarot and oracle cards I've chosen for this book. First off, let's use the oracle cards to set the theme. This book definitely deals with injustice, because what the Germans were doing wasn't right. It was injustice, and they consider their skewed sense of justice and their skewed sense of righteousness, the skewed sense of who gets to live and who deserves to die, was what jump-started one of the most horrendous parts of human history. And that injustice is very clearly captured in the way the brutalization of the Jews is described in the book. Fear is another theme that you would notice, because it's not just the fear of the Jews or the RAF grounded airmen or anybody else who would actively be on the Nazis' radars, but it was also the fear of the French, the non-Jewish French people living in France who are just trying to get by with their day-to-day lives. The fear that anything that they might say or do could land them in trouble, could mistakenly represent them as spies, who are working against the Nazis, whose families might be completely annihilated because of one mistake that they made. So that fear, once again, is captured very beautifully. I think both sides of that fear is captured really well. And again, this fear is something that comes back into the narrative when you talk of the how some of the Nazi officers are also represented, because like I mentioned, not everyone, even within the German government, was sympathetic to the German cause. Some people were they had to follow instructions because that was part of their job, that was what they were expected to do. And again, you see a sense of fear over there because of what might happen to me and my family if I refuse to follow the Führer's order. And finally, you have loss which permeates through this book like a thick fog and smog even. Loss that takes you through the decades. And this is a loss that whose gap cannot be filled. It's just temporarily covered. There's a thin veil covering it, but it's just something that cannot ever be filled up, made up. And you can sense this loss throughout the book. So these are the three major emotional themes that you'd find in this book. And despite having such dark themes, this book is also about hope. I chose the Lover's card to represent this book because the Lover's card essentially talks of making choices that are for the highest good, making choices that you know is right despite being hard. And this book is about a person's love for their nation. This book is about a person's love for their neighbor. This book is about a person's love for their sibling, for their parent, for their spouse, for their partner, for the children of their best friends, for the student who you teach, for the shopkeeper who you buy your milk or meat from, for the person who you don't know but who you just see getting on the train at the same time as you do in the morning. You care about all of these people. You want them to be safe. You want your country to be safe. And the Lover's card basically talks of the theme on which this book is based, the entire crux of this book, which is making choices which might seem super hard, which might seem undoable at all, which might seem super dangerous, but you're still making these choices and you're following through on your commitments and your promises. You're doing what is right instead of what is easy, because that's the right thing to do. That's what you should have done from the beginning, and that's what you will do till your last breath. And because of this theme, I also found another card that I felt was really good here, which is the Magician. Because the Magician is all about marshalling your resources and finding creative ways to put them to use so that you can achieve a particular goal. And you see both Isabel and Vianne doing this. They are putting their resources, they're trying to make sense of what resources that they have and how best to use them to their advantage to achieve the goals that they are trying to achieve. Sometimes these goals might seem very selfish given the grand scheme of things, but other times it's community service, pure and simple. And either way, whether it's a goal that is just self-serving or serve somebody else, ultimately you see in the Nightingale all shades of being human. Definitely pick it up. I think Kristin Hannah is a brilliant writer, and I think you're gonna enjoy her. And yeah, this brings me to the end of this Books and Tarot episode, and I will see you in the next episode. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and enable the notification button. I'll see you soon. Bye.